These are 8 hidden Gemini settings that most people are completely missing. These tricks are practical, concrete, and effective. They will save you a ton of time and stress every single day. So no more talking, let's get started. The first hidden setting we are seeing in this video is Gemini built-in feature to double check and fact check your responses. If you open Gemini and go to any of your past chat, you'll see that at the bottom of every message, if you go to the section More here, which appears under every single responses that Gemini gives you, you'll see that the first item that appears, it's called double check responses. This is exactly what we are looking for. If we click on this, we see that Gemini says is evaluating Gemini's statement and searching on Google, preparing the results. And we see that once it's done, and here says check completed, it has highlighted the text of the response with different colors. If it's highlighted in green, it means it's Google search found similar content, so you can trust this content. If it's highlighted in orange, Google search also found content that differs from this, which means you have to be very careful while using this information. If you have any doubt, you can also click here on understand the results, and Gemini will explain you how it did the specific highlighting. You'll also see that for the non-highlighted text, there's not enough information to evaluate whether these statements are true or they're not. Verifying that AI actually gave you true facts you can reuse at work or in your day-to-day with confidence is one of the biggest productivity hacks, so you don't have to do it manually and go check for specific information manually on the internet. At the same time, be sure that you are using true information. Setting number 2 is one of the most underrated ones. It allows you to give Gemini memory. If you're tired of telling Gemini over and over that you prefer short answer, or that you work in healthcare, for example, or that you want to avoid double dashes in your responses, this setting is for you. Open Gemini, this time go to the section setting here in the bottom left corner. When you open up the setting instruction, you'll see that you have a series of items which you can select from. You want to select instructions for Gemini. If you open that, you'll see appearing here this interface that allow you to share info about your life and preferences to get more helpful responses from Gemini. You can see that, for example, I've already included some information about myself which I want them to know. For example, always avoid double dashes in the responses, or use simple language and avoid jargon. Let me also show you how to set up a new one. If I want to add a new custom instruction for Gemini, I'll just have to type what I want to communicate to Gemini. If something in my prompt is not clear, ask me for clarification before answering. This is something that actually really annoys me, really helps me give better prompts to the LLM. When I click submit, I see that after a couple of seconds, my custom instruction is included in this list. I can edit, delete specific instruction. I can also turn them on and off altogether if I want to have this activated in a specific chat or I don't want to have it activated. This small and simple feature can literally save you hours on your day-to-day, so you don't have to do that annoying back and forth when you just explain Gemini how you would like to have the response in terms of style or in terms of what type of language you want Gemini to use. And that brings us to feature number 3. Workplace extensions. Most people have no idea this even exists, but it is what lets Gemini break out of the chat box and actually access your files and the content of your drive. Here is how to enable it. If you go again to the settings space here in the bottom left, like we did in the previous step, and you look for the item connected apps and you click on it, it will open a section that allows you to connect to your Google Workspace. In this case, you see I already have enabled the connection with Google Workplace. I can deactivate it and reactivate it, and it will connect again. Make sure you have this turned on so you give Gemini access to Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Docs, Google Drive, Google Keep, and Google Tasks. You can also connect to other apps like GitHub and YouTube Music, for example. But for the sake of this exercise, let's just experience it with Google Workplace. Now start a new chat and type first thing at Workplace. If, for example, instead of typing Workplace, you type Gmail, or you type Google Drive, or you type Google Calendar, for example, you only give access and indication to Gemini that you want to access that specific part of your Google Workspace. Let's make an example with Google Drive. I have activated here Google Drive connection, and then I said search my drive for all sales campaign reports from 2025. Summarize the key performance metrics here and list the total budget spend for each. I will also activate the thinking mode, so it will go a bit more in depth, and then I click on submit. Let's see what happens. You can see that Gemini is not just scanning file names, it is actually opening the documents, reading the spreadsheets, and understanding the context inside your drive. The result, out of my entire drive, and I have 10 gigabytes of stored information within my drive, it pulled the exact information which I was looking for, the sales summary for 2025 and the key performance metrics which were pulled out of the Google Sheet and the presentation documents which I had stored in my file. You basically just connected all of the dots across your entire drive in seconds. Work that would normally take hours to piece together manually. And it works for Gmail too. You can use the same logic with Gmail to, for example, find urgent emails, summarize long threads. You just have to, again, type at and connect to your Gmail and then give the specific prompt which you're looking for. For example, find urgent emails. The result of all of this is that it turns your storage into a database you can actually talk to, interact with, and create presentation based on. Feature number 4 is my favorite one and the one that I think fewer people know. If you open Gemini, you can actually schedule tasks to happen without you being there to tell Gemini to do it. So Gemini basically acts independently based on a schedule that you give and acts in an agentic way. For example, you can see here a quick test for this. Do a brief summary of the 10 key AI news of the last 7 days and do it every Friday at 10 a.m. If I click submit, we see that Gemini will create a scheduled activity to be done on a weekly basis. And boom, the scheduled task is created. If you go to the bottom left, to the settings section, and you open here schedule actions, you can see all of the scheduled activity which you have active within this Gemini workspace. You can see I have a bunch like this one. Check my emails and give me a summary of the unread ones, which if I open the edit section is done daily at 8 a.m. I can edit the instruction for the specific schedule agents, and I can also edit the schedule and save it. Whenever I want, I can also turn it on and off so that this happens or stop happening. For feature number 5, let's now see how to turn a long response into a podcast within Gemini. Borrowing this technology for Google Notebook LM, Gemini can now turn text-heavy documents into engaging audio. So if I tell him, for example, turn this text-heavy document into an engaging podcast of maximum 5 minutes, turn it into a summary I can listen to directly in this chat. And I go here and append a file that is a very long and extensive report about a job forecast in 2025, and I click submit. We'll see that Gemini first will work on effective response, effective summary of this PDF file. Once the report has been crunched through and the summary has been written, if I go at the bottom of the message and click the 3 buttons here where it says more, it opens a list of things which you can do with this specific response. And the first option is to listen to the response that was given to you.
Welcome to this audio summary of the 2024 Microsoft.
You can also pause it and resume it with this button up here.
This report marks Microsoft's 50th year by shifting the focus from the room.
So you can basically turn a boring 50-page technical manual into a 10-minute podcast-style summary that you can listen to during your commute, for example. A couple of other examples you can do with this more section at the bottom of the message is to export it to docs and to draft in Gmail, for example, which could be other very valuable setting which we are not touching within this video. And this brings us to setting number 6. If you open a new chat and on the tools section here, you select the first option, which is deep research, now you'll notice that the interface changes slightly, revealing the new files and sources button. I'm gonna now type in a prompt to exemplify how powerful the deep research section is. I'm asking your search the key companies leading the AI automation space, prioritize platform and tools used by marketing teams. For each company, include what they do, their flagship AI automation product, and who they're best for, including notable recent launches or updates. So basically doing a very sophisticated prompt to study complex market dynamics. And then I hit enter here. As soon as I do that, Gemini will start mapping out a strategy and generates a research plan that I can either edit or just approve. In this case, the research plan that Gemini offered me seems very suitable for what I want to do. So instead of editing, which I could also do, I'm just gonna click on start research. So it executes this plan. Now it's actively working. This takes about 2 to 3 minutes because it's browsing the web right now, reading dozens of sources, which you can see in this section, and cross-referencing informations. And here is what's come back. A multi-page structure report. It found the top AI automation companies with detailed breakdowns. Each one has practical marketing use case, recent product moves, and clear positioning so you can see where they fit in your stack. Every claim includes sources links so you can verify it, and at the bottom you'll find all of the sources all together. Based on this specific research, by clicking on this button on the top right, you can also create a web page, an infographic, a quiz, a flashcard, or an audio overview. If I try to do the research manually, I'd spend 3 to 4 hours searching Google, opening articles, reading through them, taking notes, organizing everything, synthesizing findings. Deep research just automated that process in 3 minutes. The 7th feature I'm gonna talk to you about today is Gemini built-in YouTube analysis. You don't need anymore to watch a 2-hour webinar to get the insights included in that specific webinar. Gemini has a native integration with YouTube. You can watch and analyze YouTube videos directly by just pasting the URL within a Gemini chat. So let me show you how that works. If I open a new chat and I paste this super simple prompt, analyze this video, extract 5 core arguments and provide timestamp for each, and I go to my YouTube channel and I extract a random video URL and I paste it here. Look at the results. Everything is neatly organized by category. Intent-based leads are superior to database list. Here we have the 5 top key arguments. So you can see that there's no need of manual scrubbing through a 90-minute video. If you're specifically interested in listening a part of this specific video, you can just click on the time span and it will open the video at that specific point in time so you can watch it live. The 8th and last setting which we're looking today is Gemini Gems. Many of you might already be familiar with, but I think for those of you who are not and who have never heard about Gemini Gems, this is a fundamental one. Instead of repasting your context every time, you can build gems, which are a custom reusable version of Gemini with specific expert instruction. You can create gems for common tasks like, for example, Brian voice checker or coding assistant or meeting agenda generator. These are chat with Gemini that have a very specific context and very specific instruction. For example, in my Google Workspace, you can see I have a newsletter update, which helps me write newsletter, a YouTube description, who helps me write YouTube descriptions. And if I go inside one of these and I want to edit them, I can see the instruction which I have given and edit them. How to create a new Gemini gem? It's actually super simple. You click on this section here that says new gem, you give it a name and a description, and then a simple set of instructions. You can be super direct here and then ask Gemini to improve your prompt so that it's even clearer. And the cooler part is you can give a gem access to a very specific tool. So for example, if the outcome of the gem is to create images or to do deep research, which we have seen in one of the previous settings, you can give direct access to this tool, to this specific Gemini gem. And you can also connect it with your knowledge, which means any file from your drive, any uploaded file, or even a notebook project if you have any. Once the gem is ready, you can save a lot of time prompting with a project that always has your custom instruction for a specific task. Gemini also provides already existing gems which are pre-created and which you can test. I always recommend starting with the Gemini they offer so you can test and understand how they work. So here, pre-made by Google, you see you have a learning coach, you have a brainstorming gem, you have a productivity planner, you have a chess champ, for example. If you need any other inspiration or instruction on how to be more proficient with Google Gemini, check the video that's appearing on the screen right now. That's all for today. Catch you on the next one.